Welcome to Discover Indie Film. I'm Jeff Howard, and I have filmmaker Kai Brown with me. Hey, Kai.
Hi, thrilled to be here.
It's great to have you. I'm not supposed to give too long what do you call it? Disclaimer about Zoom, but we are on Zoom, and now people know we're on Zoom. But your mic sounds pretty good to me, so I think we're good.
I'll take it.
And you were on the podcast because you were the writer director of a animated short called The Anatomy of Jane Doesn't Exist. And it was at Filmmakers Los Angeles in 2025, just this last June. And it was an honor to have it. I snuck into the theater to watch your screening. And I was very glad that I did because it's such a beautiful film. To see it on a bigger format was really very rewarding. And I'm very happy to also share that you won the Filmmakers Award for Outstanding Writing in an Animated Short. And that was for you as the writer. So golf clap for that win. And now I've got you on the podcast, which makes up for the fact that I didn't get to moderate your wonderful Q&A at the festival, nor did I ask any questions because we don't need my questions at the theater. There's a whole audience there asking good questions. But what I always start with before we talk about The Anatomy of Jane Doesn't Exist is actually you as a creative person. Obviously, you wrote and directed this beautiful, beautiful animated film. So, have you been filmmaking for a long time? Were you a creative young person? Have you always been a writer? Because it certainly is. I think it's fair to say that the film is a poem that it's like an animated poem in a way.
Yeah, that's a nice way of putting it. So before diving into that, I just want to say I really enjoyed being at Film Invasion LA. It's one of my favorite festivals I've attended. Great audience, great moderator. So just thought I'd throw that in. But going to your question, I have been writing stories in my head, I think, since I could think. So I always have a story track and like a real life track going. Um, I was going through some old papers a couple months ago and I found a screenplay that I'd written when I was about 6 or 7. And I made all my neighborhood kids audition. They had to sing even though it wasn't a musical. I'm not really sure my logic on that one. And it had a lot of lines just ripped straight from like TGIF shows. But it was a treasure hunt movie. And yeah, just been writing ever since. I finally was able to buy a camera when I was 18 and started shooting stuff. I went to school for film, worked in the industry for a while, and then just started making my own stuff on the side.
And what part of the country did you grow up in?
Yeah, I grew up in New England, so like rural New England. So
Rural
not
New England. So
big,
it's
yeah.
not like awareness of the industry was very high.
None. Yeah, nothing at all.
And yet you were still, as a creative kid, not just writing, but you wrote a screenplay.
Yeah, wrote a screenplay. Definitely not in the right format, but we
Yeah, but it doesn't matter.
figured
I
out
mean,
the script and
honestly,
all the kids highlighted it and their parts. We at least got that part right. But
yeah, that's awesome. And so you were really drawn to film.
yeah, very much so. Yep. And then
But
it took a lot
before
of
that
art.
camera that you got at 18, which I
Yeah,
assume was around senior year of high school-ish,
exactly. Yep.
uh, just didn't just always writing before that.
Always writing. Yep. And drawing and painting and taking photos. And I feel like that kind of different media help me.
For sure. And
Yeah.
then the big decision when you were going to college is you decided to major in film.
Yeah, I did. Yep. Which was a great choice. Yeah. I know it's a risky choice, but I don't regret it at all.
Risky choice. Did you go
Yeah.
to a place that was very production oriented or was a mix of like film theory and production?
Yeah, so I went to a place where you could design your own major. And so I combined like history, theory, and filmmaking, and then some business too. And so for the filmmaking, because that school didn't have that much of it, I did some time at FEMU in Prague and then also at Wesleyan in Connecticut. So that was the way I kind of put it all together.
Wow, that's really fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then you said you were so you actually just followed the a very logical path of graduating and you just moved out to LA for the industry?
So I went to grad school for 2 years and then I moved out, did an internship, did another internship, and then I worked as a studio manager for a celebrity photographer, which was nothing related to film, but at least it was sort of adjacent to the industry. I met a lot of really great people that I still make art with today. I ended up going back to school. And then across that whole time, just writing screenplays. And then that just developed into its own thing where, okay, I've written several screenplays. I'm not having any luck getting them optioned. Let me try making something and then I'll write a novel. And then that just sort of took on a life of its own where each idea that would come felt like it wanted to be whatever it wanted to be. So I wrote a novel that actually wanted to be a graphic novel. So now it's a comic series. Wrote a couple of shorts that wanted to be like live action animated hybrids, so let those breathe that way. And then the one, The Anatomy of Jane Doesn't Exist, was a poem to start. It was published in a comic anthology, and it just felt like it wanted to move beyond the page and come to life. And I found an animator to help do that. So it's just been a process of letting ideas turn into what they want to be.
Right. So, sort of a Renaissance person where as a writer, each idea as the story comes to you, you let the story guide you what medium it'll end up being in.
Yeah. And even like for graphic novel, for example, I knew nothing about that space. So I did like a 1 day crash course in New York and met an artist and I was like, let's just give it a try. And then we found an agent and found a publisher and it just happened to work out, which is rare in that space. And I haven't had that kind of luck elsewhere, but that one just clicked. I think it's because the story just wanted to be told that way.
That's really, I have to say that, right? I was never a big comic person, but I discovered graphic novels when I
Hmm.
was in
Mhm.
college. People gave them
Yeah.
to me, and I had been a film nerd, and you realize that like it really is just a storyboard. Like the connection between graphic novels and comic books and film, it's not just the hero thing. It really is a screenplay with a built-in
Yes. Yep.
storyboard.
Exactly. Yeah. And the move from writing screenplays into graphic novel scripts was actually pretty easy, but it's even more efficient than a screenplay. So, screenplays are very quick and they just get the essential information in there. Graphic novel, you lose sound, you lose moving vision. That was the hardest part for me was the artist I was working with for the first one was like, you can't have two actions in one frame, or like you can't have the person walk across something. So I was learning how to pare it down even more to be like its most essential version of itself.
This is a silly bitter writer question, so my apologies in advance. But
That's
when you're writing for graphic novel that way, do you deal less with the with with dumb feedback? Like I know, I
good.
guess when I say dumb feedback, I mean often I feel horrible for screenwriters who give something brilliant to someone, and then often the reaction from someone industry related is
Yeah.
to is it's too easy to look at words on a page and just want to change them.
Yep.
Whereas I feel like if there's pictures with it too, if there's graphic art,
Yeah.
are they less likely to start like saying, I think you should, I don't know.
That's a really good question because I know with screenplays, I guess, unless you're directing it yourself, but you try not to put much direction in it, right? But with a graphic novel script, you're writing down to like this frame contains this. So I feel like it creates a more directory version of a script that it's hard to, you either like it or you don't. So some people are like, yeah, this isn't for me, whereas others get the vision and then want to get involved with it. Yeah, I never thought about that before, but I would say it is easier to get that buy-in for graphic novel scripts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I was just,
Fair. Yeah.
I do have a checkered past of that involved a little bit of screenwriting where people would
Nice.
be like, and it's just so easy for people to just say like, hey, it's a rom-com. The guy shouldn't be an engineer. It should be a more exciting job, like a fashion photographer. And you want to go, you know, engineers exist. Like they have to
Right.
date too. But anyway, but I would imagine a graphic novel doesn't have to deal with that because you're
Yeah. It's There's less room for ambiguity, I would say.
Yeah,
And if you
less room
can
for
find the right
ambiguity.
artist to grow it, then yeah, you just need to find the
Yeah.
right person.
And they'll just reject it if they don't get it.
Yeah, exactly. Some people just, nope, not for me. Too dark or whatever that reason is. Yeah.
And as far as you mentioned some shorts, yeah? You wrote some
Yeah.
things that became short
Yep.
and you directed those?
Directed those. Yeah. The first one I did, I guess it was 7 years ago now. I co-wrote it and co-directed it and just loved that role. So the same person I wrote another one, this time I directed it, and she did more of the production side. That one, but actually, they both made the festival rounds. That one had a little bit more luck. And both of those were in the like suspense thriller genre. So that tends to be where I gravitate towards. I know The Anatomy of Jane Doe is a bit different or quite different from those. And then just wrapped shooting on another short that's proof of concept for a feature or a series. We're still trying to figure that out, but I wrote a feature screenplay and then with some producers kind of distilled it down to a standalone story.
Right. So it sounds like the number of things you've named based on the number of years you mentioned, it's sort of a nice balance where it sounds like you really are you're staying creative, but also like it sounds like you also have time to keep a roof over your head and stuff.
Yeah, yep, and it's a good balance. And I know for the first several years it was creating from a place of desperation. So it's nice to have that part gone because then it lets the creativity flow. So
That is.
yeah.
That is. And, well, so I guess we're already to the anatomy of Jane doesn't exist.
Yeah.
So and you said it was originally published as a poem?
Yeah, it was published in a anthology with the comic label that I write on, and it was published. It's called the Shadow Anthology. So it was the theme of it was addressing things that we tend to look away from. And I published it anonymously. And then a handful of people that I knew who didn't know that I wrote it mentioned that it just resonated with them or that they found it powerful, not knowing I wrote it, which felt like, oh, maybe this is something that wants to find a bigger audience. And then I was trying to figure out what that would look like. And like you said, it's a poem. It's very short as a film. I think it's 2 minutes and 24 seconds. So it was how do we bring sound and visuals to that in a way that I think I used this phrase before, but lets it breathe, and gives it some more space. So yeah.
And yeah, I mean, as a poem, right? When as a writer, you're putting ideas in your reader's mind for them to visualize.
Yep.
And and yeah, when you're making a film, you're giving them the visual, but in a really beautiful way that the animation as you directed it is very uncontrolling of your audience, right? It's very
Mhm.
open. It's because it's more expressive.
Mhm.
It really just to me, it just really feels like it complements the words instead of, being a very, and actually, oh, this is what I'm trying to get at. Because I watched it again today. It is always, if you're talking to someone who made a 2-hour documentary, you can't like watch it again before the podcast. But your film I watched again this morning. And 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 honestly, most of the imagery is about the emotional state.
Mhm.
But I think it
Yeah.
communicates emotion more than anything else.
I like that take on it. And I think of it as a series of animated paintings as opposed to a seamless animation. So it just moves you through different emotions.
I
Um,
totally agree with you on the painting thing
yeah.
because it definitely, yeah, it's not. I know when we use the term animation,
Yeah. It's not like a Pixar movie
it's
by
not,
any
it's not,
stretch.
it's
So,
not Pixar, it's
yeah.
not digital.
Yeah.
It's painted and it's got brush strokes and it looks very organic and natural, and very dark and colorful.
Yeah.
But the colors are, I would assume the colors were. Is that something that you? Well, should we give credit to an animator?
Yeah, I want to make sure I get his name right. So I had this up and then I lost it. So he's an Egyptian visual artist, and he and I were talking about a different project And then this one was coming to life, and I was just like, "Have you ever done anything like this?" And he was like, "No, but I'd love to give it a try." So it's Hussam Kandil, and he just brought these ideas to it that I hadn't thought of. To your point about the colors, initially we'd had black backgrounds with white and red, and we decided that that felt too harsh. And because of how, not sure what word I want to use, how I wanted to make sure the topic was as inviting as possible, knowing that it's a very sensitive topic. And so I thought, what if we try to make it like a midnight blue just to soften that entry point to it, and then complement it with like a light blue, and then still have the red there to give it the punch. But there was a lot of kind of testing out different color palettes for it.
Yeah, yeah, because that I totally understand what you're saying because yeah, it is that midnight blue is yeah, because it's a deeply emotional poem
Yeah.
and your log line for it is a story of the aftermath
Hmm.
and it's the aftermath of well of a rape
Yeah.
and so you wanted to support the poem without and so yeah, I get it. The black and white, a black bat looking at a black screen and especially seeing it in a theater
Yes. Yep.
is
That too.
is all black is almost emptiness.
Hmm.
Whereas that midnight blue you gave sort of almost surrounds your images with sort of a fullness,
Yeah.
almost aquatic in a way.
Oh, I like that. Yeah, that feels right. And just lets people come into it and sit as comfortably as possible for those 2 minutes, two and a
Yeah,
half.
and Hassan's painting, as you said, it's like a moving. I won't. I'll tell you later about the term moving painting and why I love it. But
Okay.
because it's a moving painting and so flowing, it's funny. It is almost sometimes it does almost look like water is brushing through.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And that's yeah, so it is just so it's really just such a unique piece because it's communicating a story and it's communicating an emotion and then also it just has visuals that both support the story but is also just so beautiful.
Hmm.
Like there's a beauty to the painting
Yeah.
which I imagine is about that that Jane's anatomy is still beautiful
Hmm.
in spite of what she experienced.
Yeah. And his art just comes to life even without the animation. Like just looking at his art, like I could stare at it forever without a poem. And so having that as the background, I think lets your brain do something else while it's also hearing the poem, and kind of be free at the same time. And then going along with that, the other big part that played a role in what it meant to turn a poem into this animated short is the sound. And so the written poem, it's just one voice. But in the actual film, we move from this sort of very deep voice clinical narrator into Jane Doe's voice. And then we have, I would say, kind of a cold phone operator thrown in. And then there's moments where all three of them speak at the same time. And kind of like the art that added another dimension that doesn't come through on the page.
That's true. Yeah, the voices are beautifully haunting in a lot
Hmm.
of ways.
Yeah.
In fact, I was looking at what some of our jurors, I did peek at juror comments
Oh, fun.
and
I
and
love it.
and and I'll share one said felt honest and specific while vibrant and original. But someone mentioned yeah, wonderful writing and the narration is absolutely fantastic. So
Yeah, the voices that like gravitated towards this just resonated. And I liked the actress who did the voice for Jane Doe because, a lot of people read and some were more polished, kind of like if you were reading a book, like doing book, like an Audible sort of thing. And she just had this realness to it and this sort of like you're talking to her cadence that I really loved. And so I thought that would be just humanizing of that role.
Excellent, excellent. And well, now I should ask the silly. No, it's not silly, but Lord knows animation's not a fast process.
Yeah.
So how long a process was it? Like, I mean, in a way, it was unique in that you had a script that you didn't have to do any rewrites.
Yeah, true. It's
You'd already
just
published this.
write a poem. Yep,
So it's
that's true.
literally turning to Hassan and saying, "All
Yeah.
right, let's work out the animation." Was it
Yep.
a long back and forth process, or once you had it, uh, he was just able to run with it?
It was actually pretty quick. Having done live action, I feel like it was faster, weirdly, and it's probably a function of it being 2 minutes and 24 seconds, but there's several scene changes in that or painting changes in that. But we just did a storyboard and then he was able to animate it, I would say, in 2 months. And it's all hand done. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that's got to be fast.
Yeah. And part of that is the approach of painting and then animating off of that as opposed to doing it like a, 3D animation or even 2D animation.
And is he here? Uh,
No, he lives
it-
in Egypt. Yeah,
he's based in
I
Egypt.
haven't met him in person, just online. So,
That's amazing. What an amazing. I
yeah.
have a friend who lived for years in Cairo.
Yeah, I believe he's in Cairo. So, yeah.
Oh, amazing. So do you know, did you like did he use tablets for the painting or did he actually physically paint and
He used
then
tablets for it. Yeah.
tablets?
Yeah.
That's just amazing.
Yeah. And then there's one background. I know that people listening to this won't have seen it, but there's a textured wing background, and that's a painting that I did that's actually painted. And he was able to layer that in and then paint on top of it and animate that.
Oh, so cool. And by the way, you just mentioned I was so interested in talking to you that I forgot in the introduction to ask. I assume you're still on the festival circuit.
Yes, actually, no, it finished its run at the Richmond International Film Festival back in, I think it was October.
So you finished about a month ago,
Yeah, about a month
and
ago.
and are you considering putting it online or?
Think, yeah, this one I would really love to. And trying to figure out if there's other places where it could land, because a few people have mentioned this might be really helpful for survivors or for family members, friends of survivors. So might try to find a partnership or something like that too.
Well, needless to say, if and when you put it up, if you remember that we chatted and you want to send me an email with a link to wherever it ends up, I'd love to have a clickable link in the show
Oh,
notes
absolutely.
that would
Yeah,
then
that'd be
go to
lovely.
wherever people can watch it. Because I mean, anyone with any interest in film should see it,
Hmm.
especially. I would find it hard to believe it. I guess this is, well, I tend to be cocky about the films we have at our festival, but I mean, it's really wonderful. And anyone who's a fan of film, let alone animation, but especially animation, it's, it's unusually a beautiful piece.
Hmm. Thank you. Yeah. And we just found the right people that had ideas that, when you have an idea and you find people that can grow it, this one, they just grew it in ways I couldn't have imagined. So,
And you benefited, I think, from your vision and that when you're doing something independently like this, if you just weren't going to do it wrong. Like
yeah,
if these
that's true too.
people who brought stuff to it, if someone brought something to it that didn't work for you, hey, you don't have to. Well, you didn't have to
Yes.
compromise.
Yeah,
You
exactly.
found Brittany Chenoweth.
Yeah.
You heard their voice and said
Mhm.
that is the voice, and
Yep.
perfect. You could have gone on for 6 more months listening to voices till you heard the right one.
Yeah. Yeah.
I just that's one of the things I love about indie film is that unlike a lot of other stuff, there's no committee seeing how you can make the most profit off of your IP. It's literally, is this right? Is this
Yeah.
artistically right to the vision of the person who's creating it?
Yep. And you can let it be what it wants to be instead of forcing it into, will this work with this audience or that audience? It's just like, just wants
Yeah.
to be this.
Yeah. I didn't, oh, you mentioned the voices and stuff, but I
Yeah.
also assume that you spent quite a bit of time on the sound mix and
Yeah.
sound recording.
Yep, I was going to mention that too. So each of the voice actors recorded independently, and then Alec Hawking was the sound design and music person. He and I have worked together several times. He's a hip hop producer who does film stuff on the side, um, and he sketched some stuff out. Um, I knew I wanted a very simple one instrument soundtrack for the most part. It's just that trumpet throughout. Um, and then because it's 2 minutes and 24 seconds, we sat down for a several hour session and just went through every single like Foley choice and, like, let's nudge that just, half a second sooner. Or let's like try to turn the volume down on that. Or let's have there was like a cracking sound in there. Let's have it 2 times at first, 3 times the second time. And so it was just the kind of attention to detail that I don't usually get to do. So it was fun. And unlike live action, everything's created, right? Both in terms of picture and in terms of sound. There's nothing that just already exists and you're capturing it. So it was building it up from scratch, and he did a beautiful job.
Did a beautiful job and wonderful that you got to be involved in it. And yeah, I guess there is a real, besides the independence, there is something really wonderful about about the length that if you'd had a 90-minute vision,
Yeah,
it would have done, then you would have had the story of, yeah, it took me 10 years.
exactly. Where it's like, oh, that sound effect is like close enough,
You're like it
set
in
there.
one day. I mean, look, that's still a very great ratio, right? For 2.5 minute film to spend
Sure.
whatever 5, 6 hours on
Great point. Yeah,
without
like
sound.
that's the,
I can't do the math in my head. Wait, three. I mean, it's about 150 times the length or so.
yeah.
So yeah, that's like putting 150 hours into an hour long movie. Yeah, that's no one puts 150 hours into their sound.
No, no. And we
That's
were
so
just
cool.
painstaking, like move it, nudge it that way or that way. So that was kind of fun to get to do.
That's excellent. That's excellent. And it sounds like it was all just very rewarding for you the whole way through.
It was, yeah. Um, yeah, we finished it just over a year ago, and yeah, came together really nicely. And then um, it's been able to find an audience, which has also been rewarding.
I would think, I mean, and I sometimes am nervous to say this, but I don't think I have to be nervous saying it to you, which is, I mean, it always shocks me because our jury, all we care about is quality. But I would think a film of this quality plus the length, you would have just a really wonderful festival run because most festival programmers, if someone makes a brilliant 27-minute film, it's kind of
Mhm.
hard for people to program. Someone
Yeah.
makes a wonderful 2.5-minute film, and I would hope that you had a really nice acceptance rate.
Yeah, what's funny is it played a handful of places, was really excited to do so. So Film Invasion LA, Richmond International Film Festival, and Festival of Cinema New York City were the three big ones that we hit. Um, but it didn't have as high of an acceptance rate as the more like suspense, like detective-y stories that I typically do. And I think I was having a conversation with somebody just this past weekend about that because they had a similar film or a similarly topicked film. And you, there are certain festivals like Film Invasion LA where they want quality, like doesn't matter the idea, run with it. But I still think there is a bias, even in indie film festivals, towards non-challenging topics. And this one, I think, just was dark enough that it didn't hit as high as I was thinking it would. So, yeah.
I understand what you're saying,
Yeah.
and boy, that's a bummer. Of
Yeah.
all the topics that indie festivals should embrace, how could this topic not be,
Hmm.
you know? and unless, my God, unless they're the kind of, I mean, I really, I do have a chip on my shoulder about festivals that like making they only have like an animation corner and they put all that animation together and everything else is like geared at kids. Maybe they can't
Yes.
put you in a
Yeah, that's part
thing
of it too.
that's
Yeah.
that's kid oriented,
Right.
but you don't, but unless it's a, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah, you go to be challenged,
you
right? And
go
to
to be
like think about
challenged,
what
and
are the
like
bounds
most
of
of the
art.
people attending a film festival are other
Yeah,
filmmakers. They're grown-ups.
right.
I
And
don't
maybe that's just me like cop out answer, but having had other films that have done better odd or better acceptance ratios and knowing like, yeah, that's it's not the same. Like I don't think they were as important to me at least. So I'm glad this one found the audience it did. And yeah.
Yeah. Well, and hopefully, and I certainly hope you find a wonderful home for it.
Mhm.
Um, I know there are, even,
Yeah.
I mean, even if you end up, even honestly, it's funny. I'm no longer anti-YouTube. I was the kind of person who was
Long
for
time
a long
holdout, but
time.
yep.
I still don't watch it. I'm too old to even understand how to find what I want on YouTube. But I understand that, like, I mean, I know there's platforms on there that really have some really beautiful work and
Hmm.
wonderful work
That's a good
and
point.
draw eyeballs to it. So,
Yeah.
Lord knows the anatomy of Jane Doe doesn't exist. I
Yep.
guess that's where we get hung up on is that
It's
you
because
want
the
to
Jane Doe's in
pause
the middle.
after Doe.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, but still,
Yeah.
but still, I would certainly believe that
Mm.
it'll it would be the kind of thing that friends would say, "Oh, next time you go on such and such platform, watch this."
I like that thinking. Yeah. And it's one where it's resonated with my friends more than other stuff I've made. So that's been a gift too.
Yeah, yeah. No, I mean, heck, I will remember for a while that you shared that you first published it. And by the way, I meant to say kudos to that uh whatever the comic book or the
Yeah.
graphic novel platform for
Yep.
publishing the poem in the first place, just
Yep.
as a poem, not even, in
Yeah.
animated cells, I assume.
Exactly.
And and just how amazing would it be to put up your work anonymously and then have people you care about
Hmm.
mention it to you?
Yeah.
That's a rare opportunity because how often do we share work anonymously?
Right. Where people don't know that you wrote it. So yeah, it feels like it gave me permission to try to do something else with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, does it inspire? Was it the first anim? I mean, I know you drew and painted as a younger person too. So have you done other animation or is this?
This was I would say second and a half. So I made a commercial animation for do you know float studios where you go and like sensory deprivations? I made with somebody an animated like this is how you float. So it's more commercial side. But still kind of had a vibe to it. And then the other main one that I'm thinking of, I made a hybrid live action animation short. And that one, it was kind of arrows across somebody's life. And when it was the past, it was animated. So yeah.
Oh, cool. Okay. So you're right because you also had the graphic novel history and whatnot.
Yeah.
So yeah, you dealing with artists and
Yeah.
so you're drawn to that. So you do you have more screenplays in mind or more scripts? You're gonna continue just balancing it out and whatever strikes you.
Yeah, I was just at the Yucca Valley Film Festival last weekend for a different one. That's it's like a dance documentary is the best way I could describe it. So it's somebody I've worked with before, and she was undergoing surgery. She had a double mastectomy, and she's a creature actor, model, dancer, and so her body is her medium. And she wanted to show her story, but through dance. So we shot half of it before the surgery and then half of it after. And it turned into it's called She's Gone Away. Um, and that's the most recent thing that's I finished. But it's another one where it's just like the right story and the right people and the right like letting it be what it wants to be just came together on that one. So that one was fun as well. But otherwise, yeah, back to back to thrillers for the most part. So, yeah.
which is fair, which is fair.
Yeah. Yep.
Well, I might ask you to send me a link to that one.
Oh,
I
definitely.
actually have I'm on a jury of a dance film festival in the UK because
Oh, cool.
I love dance. Like
Yeah.
I'm always bummed that we don't get more dance films submitted to
But
our
I think
festival.
she just submitted to Film Invasion LA for next year, so a little
Oh,
pitch. But
well,
yeah.
that's awesome. Thank you. If she did that on your referral, thank you.
Yeah, she did. So, yep.
Oh, wonderful. Wonderful. I mean, my goodness. And that subject is near and dear to me because
Yeah.
my household went through it. And
Yeah.
actually, my daughter and I did a paper mache cast
Hmm.
of her mom right before
Yeah.
her surgery because
Wow.
mom wanted to preserve who she was before. And then, you know,
And
it was,
is
yeah.
after.
So,
Yeah.
wow, doing it with film
Yeah.
I have a feeling I might give that a really high rating when I see it as a juror.
But yeah, she
But it's fun you work in thrillers too.
yeah, yeah. It's I was talking before about how my mind usually has a story going on the side and then reality over here. I think it's usually just like, oh, this would be creepy right now in reality if this happened, and then it just turns into its own thing. So yeah.
Excellent, excellent. Well, anything else we should cover, or you want to share do you have a website with most of your
Yeah, I
work?
do have a website. It's actually just being redesigned. So if somebody checks it out now, it's under construction, but it'll be back up or it's there. It's just the old version. But anyway, it's kaimedia24.com. And then I'm also on Instagram. Same thing, kaimedia24.
Excellent. And by the way, I'm pretty sure actually I could look it up. Can I be smooth and look it up while I talk? But I believe your podcast will probably get released December 19th.
Oh, excellent. Okay, so by then the website will be redone. So,
Episode 626, I think, is what we're recording.
oh, that's a good number. I like it.
I normally, yeah, 626. There you go. That's an area
Yep.
code. Isn't that like Pasadena or something? But
Something like that. Yeah, sounds right.
something like that. All right. Well, I will do the wrap up then, and of course we'll make the Kai Media 24.com. We'll make those clickable links in the show notes for you, so that people can check out your work. And well, first I'll thank you, Kai, for taking the time to talk to me.
Thank you for having me.
And I want to thank everyone who's listening. If you are still listening to me, if you didn't just stop because now it's just me talking. This is the Discovery Indie Film Podcast. Please be nice, like and subscribe. Maybe even write a review. I say at the end of every podcast, be kind. When you are kind to people, when you do nice things, it actually makes you feel better than them. So you should be a selfish asshole and be kind to everyone you meet all the time. And that includes being nice to this podcast, but you can learn more about it if you go to discoverindiefilm.com. On social media, it's always at DIFWins. If you go to discoverindiefilm.org, that is the nonprofit that runs 2 film festivals in the LA area, Film Invasion Los Angeles, where we showed Kai's film, and the Sherman Oaks Film Festival are both run by the Discovery Indie Film Foundation. So you learn about it. You can go to both of those festivals' websites or their social media if you just start at discoverindiefilm.org. And I didn't use the term sister festival, but I normally call Film Invasion Los Angeles and Sherman Oaks Film Festival sister festivals. And next year they get a cousin in January of 2026, the weekend of the 16th and 17th. People will be enjoying films in a beautiful theater in Lima, Peru at the very first edition of Film Invasion Lima. It's honestly, I'm just delighted. And oh man, the films are good. We actually, well, we did send a nice discount code to all our alumni for the other 2 festivals. Hey, if you want to be in the first edition of Lima, but I'm so happy because I just found out yesterday how many of our alumni are going to get shown in Lima in January, and I'm like, oh my god, that's so cool. I gotta get a good flight. But all right, I rambled on about Lima, but now I'll stop. Thank you again, Kai, and
Thank you.
thank you everyone for listening.